Chapter 6. Everyone has their reasons. In life, we are presented with situations where we are required to make choices. Everyone makes choices based on their circumstances and the situation before them, and what is in their hearts. Everyone makes choices, Ravania, and everyone has reasons for the choices they make, whether they are good or bad. Alta Strata, teaching Ravania on Jigu during the Hell War. Shelves of secret artifacts and devices towered above them, but Viri and Rolv were here for none of that. Their quarry sat in the center of the room, behind a shimmering, spherical field of light. Behind the glowing barrier was another sphere, but this one was crystal, dark, with seeming churning light inside, like a storm of cloud and lightning. As Viri and Rolv stepped closer, they could see the perfect engravings on the smooth surface, ancient writings, images, an angelic woman with wings, holding a flaming sword. Her back was to a skeletal hooded figure who was holding a scythe. "That's it," Viri whispered. She and Rolv put their swords away and stepped to the glowing field of energy. Viri held out one of her four-fingered hands to the energy, and she studied it with green eyes carefully. "It's like Stanlin said," Viri explained, "the weave of Dorash and magic. It's not easy to create, not easy to dismantle. Good thing he sent us," Rolv smirked, pulling back his hood, his leaf-shaped ears twitching. He held out a hand to the field, too. "White Dorash," he said. "They call it something different in these parts of the universe," Viri commented. "Amounts to the same thing, though," Rolv smirked. "This is good work. Ravania's an artist." "Can we do it?" Viri wondered. "As with all things," Rolv replied, "you just need to know where the stresses are." He nodded to Viri, and they each took position on one hemisphere of the sphere. "Join my mind," Rolv urged. Viri nodded, and they made a telepathic link. They saw the weave of Dorash and magic together, and they searched it. As if moving through the white and blue strands of power, they searched, following instructions given to them by Stanlin. "Found it," they said as one. They pulled on the strands together, and with some effort the binding powers were broken and the field vanished. With lightning reflexes, Viri's hand shot out and she caught the crystal orb as it started to fall. She held it up and stared at it for a moment, at the hypnotizing storm within, and the perfect engraving on the orb's skin. "We have it," she whispered and looked up at Rolv with a smile.
"Well done,"
an odious voice echoed in the chamber, causing Viri and Rolv to twist around. Viri closed her grip tightly on the sphere. Red eyes peered out of the shadows at the edge of the room, staring toward her. The red eyes held as much malice as the deep and rumbling voice they'd just heard. "Who are you?" Rolv snapped, stepping forward, raising his sword in a defensive guard.
"Olden soul,"
the voice croaked.
"you would be wise to abandon all hope."
The thing chuckled. Viri felt her heart beating quickly. Her hands were trembling, but she drew her sword just the same. "It couldn't be an Olden soul. It just couldn't," she thought helplessly.
"Give it to me,"
the one in the shadows snapped.
"I could not free it on my own, not with that weave. But now that you have, I will take it."
"You couldn't take it because it was locked away by the powers of an Amara," Rolv snapped.
"The Amara,"
the one in the shadows cackled.
"Ravania herself. Now, give me the sphere."
He laughed.
"Don't think of running either. I will just track you down, tear you to pieces. Give me the sphere, and I might let you live."
"Who are you?" Rolv barked angrily. "Show yourself!" A form stepped out of the shadows, and Viri gasped. The monster was towering, close to 3 meters, with slate-gray skin and thin limbs that were, nevertheless, corded with sinewy muscle. The thing had long fingers and claws. Its feet were some strange imitation of a bird, and its face, with bulging eyes, mingled the worst qualities of a toad and a deep-sea fish, with a wriggling, fleshy beard under its chin that looked like so many moving worms.
I am Rango Gola,
The monster chortled.
Lord of Raven's throne, keeper of the 9 galaxies of Hanhun, and the Tonian vastness on the edge of the known universe. I am an ally of the Overdon Council and the husband of Ravania Imenalia.
He chuckled before adding,
Perhaps you've heard of me.
Viri and Rolf stared in horror. Suddenly one of Rangel's claws shot off the end of his long finger, like a cannon. It sliced through Rolf's neck, nearly removing his head. He gurgled helplessly as he collapsed to the floor. Viri cried out and turned to run, but something sharp passed through her leg, and then it fell away, spurting blood as she tipped sideways to the floor. She lost grip of the sphere, and it rolled away from her. She howled in agony and looked down to see that her leg was missing at the thigh. Blood was pumping out of her, soaking the stone floor. Rango Gola walked across the floor to the sphere. He picked it up. He stared at it, a smile spreading on his broad, blubbery lips. His needle-like teeth glinted in the meager light of the room.
Ah,
he breathed. He turned to Viri.
I must thank you for this, agent of Ravenala. I could not have done it without you.
You are Ravania's husband. How can you do this? Don't you know what's at stake? Viri gasped, feeling her strength leaving her. Rango walked over to Viri and crouched down in front of her. He frowned, and his eyes took on a pitying look.
You think some of Ravania's goodness should have rubbed off on me?
Viri was feeling more and more lightheaded. Her eyes fluttered.
Everybody does things for a reason, my dear,
Rangle explained to Viri, reaching out and gently running his fingers through her hair.
Do you think I, an olden soul of ancient renown, would lower myself to unite with an Amara if I didn't have a reason?
To get this was reason, Viri asked, feeling herself slipping away.
This?
Rango Gola chuckled, looking at the sphere, arching a scaly brow.
No, not my reason. I just saw an opportunity, and I decided to take it. Time to rid myself of the Feech.
He chuckled and stood up. Viri had already slipped away before Rangle stepped on her head, crushing it like an egg. The end of Part 1, Man of Sorrows. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and there are more episodes on the way.